Hello and welcome to the Point to Rise show. This is your host, Suzanne Prochelle, former international ballerina that found her passion in mindset, business, and technology, and is today the founder of Rise Media. It is my purpose to use all the experiences of my past to create a better, financially sustainable future for the performing arts industry. And that starts with every single one of us. I believe that being you is your superpower. And I am here to guide you, empower you, inspire you, and give you all the resources you need to rise above what you think you're capable of. Every week, I'll bring you 3 shows featuring guests, collaboration, and mini episodes to ensure that you have the support in your journey as a performer. I want you to know that you are not alone. Stop chasing and start creating. Your success starts now, here with you. So let's go. And we're back. Welcome back to the Point to Rise podcast. I am so happy to be here. Today's guest, I'm so thrilled to have him on. His name, and I hope I'm saying this right, I'll correct it if I'm not, is Tomorr Kokona. He just released a book about successful artist means business. And as you know, that's all up my alley. So that's why I invited him on. I want to really dive into today with him what it means to be successful in business and in your art. Does, being an artist really still mean you can't know anything, neither about business, nor can you be successful in business? So we're going to dive all into that. But before we're going to do that, let me introduce him properly. Tomorr is a creative leadership business consultant, coach, and mentor with a background as an elite international arts practitioner specializing in theater, movement, and choreography. He has inspired positive change for thousands worldwide, helping them to unlock growth and transform their passion into profit. Tomorr delivers advice, coaching, seminars, mentoring programs, and business training workshops for creative entrepreneurs, artists, and organizations on art form and business development in 4 different languages. He recently released his first book, Successful Artists Mean Business, which, by the way, you need to read that. I can highly recommend. I did not even get through the first, I would say, 20 pages because it is so true. And the story that he shares from his own experience is very riveting. So go get it. It's available on Amazon. It is a guidebook for people in the creative arts looking to bridge the gap between the artist and entrepreneur, which has become a bestseller in 7 categories on Amazon. He just launched a few weeks ago, by the way. Through his own struggles as a creative, Tomorr shares what was missing in his journey to make others' creative process much easier and inspire positive change. Tomorr is also the co-founder and creative director of Stage Talent Academy, a performing arts center for children and young people to learn and develop their talent, improve their confidence, and gain value in life skills. So Tomorr is all about the arts, all about creatives and helping them to bridge the gap between what we believe and what we were brought up with in terms of business and art. And he is helping us today in our conversation, how we can rewrite that story. So without no further ado, here's our conversation. I am so thrilled to have this conversation with you today, Tomorr. Welcome to the show. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being up at 9 p.m. at night. That would not be possible for me. So the more I appreciate you being here.
Well, the pleasure is mine, completely mine, to talk about the important issues that hopefully we're going to discuss here today.
Beautiful. Okay, so I most of the time reveal on how we actually met and how this conversation has actually came about. I truly reached out to you on LinkedIn because I saw that you recently have successfully launched a book. It's called Successful Artists Mean Business, and that is my jam as well. I was so grateful to see that you hit number 1 in 7 categories. Is that correct in Amazon? Yeah. So congratulations on that. That's super It just makes my heart bubble because it shows on what the need is actually there and that people understand the language and want to learn more about that. Okay, so usually we're just gonna dive right into. So what besides helping performing arts and building that bridge, what lights you up? What gets you out of bed? Who are you?
Well, actually, what gets me up in the morning is a really interesting point. To be honest, throughout all of my life, I've had a few mentors from very early age. I come from very humble beginnings of an army officer father and a mother who had to raise 6 children. So I'm the last of baby boomers. So my father fought at the Second World War, fought the Nazis. So you can imagine what sort of background I came from. And I was raised at a communist system. I'm Albanian. So a communist system, for many people, it's, especially in America, but all around the world, it's a brutal dictatorship. However, I would say that the Albanian system was even worse. Many people have heard today about North Korea, and yet Albania was the North Korea of Europe. Nobody could come in, nobody could leave. You could be persecuted and put into prison, even if you listen to the modern music of the Beatles. So you can imagine the repression that I was raised into. However, saying that, the background of all of the people who grew up in that system was really healthy. I didn't have any other choices but to study. So I was very lucky to be selected to be a ballet dancer from the age of 3. So started ballet as you do at that age, went to the youth clubs. And at the age of 10, I was selected to be part of the Albanian National Ballet School, which is a state school, run school. And I don't know if you know anything, but it's the Vaganova style, which is the Russian style of ballet. I studied for 8 years, 6 or 7 days a week, all styles of dancing, including character and folk dancing, which really gave me that sort of background to love various cultures and to be open-minded. So that's my background in that sense. Later on, I have a very interesting life, but as you had to do it at that time, I was conscripted into the army. So I became a soldier, and then very soon I became a soldier, police officer, soldier. So you can imagine, from a ballet dancer to become a police officer. But my desire to continue dancing was there. So within about 18 months, I had won a competition to enter at the university. I studied choreography and theater direction. I studied Stanislavski in theater, and classical ballet and choreography and creation, stage productions, all of these things. To cut the whole story short, when I graduated with a full-length ballet, I was nominated to work as a second in charge of the Albanian National Ballet. I was only 25, and I thought, wow, what could I do? But yet, that's why I mentioned communism, because I was totally repressed. I could not really use any, I mean, for example, in 1989, I did a production and I put 2 songs from Donna Summer, and I'm sure you know about Donna Summer. And you know what? They allowed me to only do 3 performances, and I was cut off because it was decadent, it was modern, it was, you know, American, and so on. So I didn't have any choice, but with $110 in my pocket, with a German dictionary, at 2 o'clock in the morning, at a tour of Spain, I defected because we were touring with the Albanian Ballet in Spain. And since that time, well, I've been able to go back, because Albania now is a democracy, is a country which is adhering to be part of European Union. And so that's my background. But throughout that time, and now, even at this moment, I have had a lot of people who have inspired me. And one of the most important part, apart from creating choreographies, putting large, big productions on, has been education. So what wakes me up in the morning is that feeling that art and creativity, it's at the heart of every human endeavor. So I challenge the world every day, because I go out there and try to really pass on my knowledge, the knowledge that I gained through my education, through traveling the world, through this beautiful art of dance and performing arts, to really empower all of the artists. So that if I could just wrap it up, is like, for me, creativity meets enterprise. So enterprise, when channeled correctly, will create a prosperous business. Some people struggle to see this as a happy union, but business is not a dirty word. Successful theater is business. Design is business. Film, music, dance. For any to succeed, a professional, effective business outlook is essential. I have learned this through decades of art experiences as a performer, creator, director in the top high levels. I mean, even when I came to UK, I could only speak 6 words. Hi, my name is Tomorr, I love you. That was it. But I was so happy and so lucky because I came to study at Trinity Laban, which is one of the best contemporary dance schools in the world. And guess what? Everybody there, were from all over the world, from Japan to Canada, from Canada to Brazil. So we all had this universal language to communicate with. So within a year, I managed to really learn better English and communicate. And now you can imagine, I feel so overwhelmed sometimes when I just see that my book, Successful Artists Mean Business, has become a #1 bestseller in Amazon in 7 different categories. So this is what wakes me up. My aim and the aim that I have for my book is to travel the world and to go with a book and spread the ideas that it is possible for artists to really not prosper, not be really successful as creatives, but also to have a stable and sustainable life. So my mission, in a few words, is to get rid of the struggling artist. So if we can really deplete that word from our vocabulary, the starving or the struggling artists should never exist anymore. We provide a real value to the society. We give a lot of value to the society. And we should expect, and we must expect, that value exchange. At the end of the day, that's what money is. And I'm not talking about money because some people might really be misinterpreting me. What I'm talking here is that value exchange, which means that we should not undercharge ourselves. And when I say we, I say that it starts with us. We are the people who need to change that mindset. And it starts with the mentors, it starts with the teachers, it starts with artists. I mean, this is not a UK problem, it's not a European problem. This is a worldwide problem. It's a worldwide problem because a lot of other fields really exchange value and they expect to be rewarded accordingly. Why shouldn't we? We provide, I mean, if it weren't for Netflix and for the wonderful film productions during pandemic, how would we survived? And everybody just found that window. So the creators, the artists, the producers, people in the creative industries made it happen and kept the society going and gave us that beautiful hope that sometimes a lot of people just struggled with. But that's where art was. That's where, through a small screen or through a book, through a beautifully written book, through the ideas of really seeing the beauty within. So therefore we need to, and we must claim our place in the society of being rewarded accordingly for the services we render to this society. So I went on for some time now, but I guess this is what makes me...
No, thank you. We're like this. There is so much that I want to go into, and I'm going to pin for a moment that artists should feel worthy and valued of exchanging their services for money. And I think there's a root cause that has come through society and through decades, even centuries, of how we treated the arts. I just want to acknowledge I've grown up in East Germany, so we share that past. I also went through 8 years of ballet schooling, Vaganova, same style, same teaching, same scars I've taken out of that time. And I left Germany after the wall came down. I witnessed that in 1989 as I was 15 years old, participated in the Monday evening demonstrations, that we had in Berlin. And boy, can I relate to, like, you defected, like you actually, like we had this privilege as dancers, as performing artists in the Eastern Communist bloc, that we were seen as, we had a different status, right? In a way, we were looked after. I got better food than everybody else outside the school. I had more privileges. I also received more money. I received money for an education that would have, I paid here at least $500,000. So, but had you defected, oh my gosh, we had so many in our four walls that used the tours to leave and to say, I cannot be in the system anymore. That doesn't allow me to be who I want to be. Yet Berlin, and particularly East Berlin, was the mecca of and the core of the whole revolution starting, because there were so many artists in that city. Oh, so you brought me right back to 15-year-old me. Thank you for that.
It's that time, and well, this is it's our life, and it's a great gem to share it with others, because through adversity we managed to go through, and yet a quarter of a century later, you and I are talking here, and then we have the same thread. And to be honest, the thread is not communism, is not Eastern Europe, is ballet. It's the desire, the passion for us to express our feelings, to communicate with the society, to share our feelings with society, and inspire the society and give hope. Because at the end of the day, we as artists, a lot of my clients, now that after all of these 35 years, I've been in performing arts and dancing with the classical ballet of Madrid as a soloist. I choreographed for Spanish television. I worked as a dancer for English National Opera. I worked for an opera house in other different roles. Now I can see that others can benefit from this, that adversities really make us who we are. And these adversities, in fact, our accolades need to really hang around our shoulders. And again, going back, because I keep repeating, going back to say, we have provided for the society, we have given to this society. Performing arts, mainly dance, because we're both from the ballet world. I mean, although I went and I did contemporary, I created my own dance company. It's something that's it's linked to the human being. Before people could communicate with this verbal language, they could move, they could jump, they would prepare themselves to go into to fight that big animal, because they were scared. They wanted to really enhance their powers and their desires to really get the food or fight the other tribes and so on. So it's a fabulous time. I feel very lucky to be alive today and to really experience this wonderful technology. So, yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. There's so much to be grateful for, and so much. You said diversity is so important for being, and I'm paraphrasing, to be a good artist, or an artist that can actually really offer something to the audience or to their fans. And I agree. And I think that's where we have opportunity in how we're teaching dance, art altogether, that it's not just about the specific art, but that you can, as a human being, branch out into many other ways how to gain knowledge, how to, experience different kind of emotions, and how that will help you to be better in the studio even if that doesn't mean that you're doing 20 push-ups right now. And I think that is a big opportunity for all of us to understand why mentors that are outside of the arts, that may have some understanding what it means to be an artist, yet have gone through the process themselves on, you know, really diving into self-development and understanding why we behave a certain way, how the whole system works, how we as human beings work, and really learn and invest in yourself, because it's all just gonna make you better.
Actually, you made me think of two concepts that I use quite often with my clients when I coach them. The concept number one is linked exactly with what you were talking about, dancers working and trying to find ways out. But there is a need for mentors and coaches and people who go out there. So the two examples I will bring here, I guess, will help your listeners. The first one is the one that I call it the hot tub mentality. So a lot of artists, and I've been living in this house for 22 years now, since the year 2000. And I've been very much involved with the local community, with a group of artists. I don't know if you know, but I live near Wembley in London. Wembley is a very famous stadium and so on. So a lot of artists live in this area. Since the year 2000, because I've been involved with a lot of artists, the community leaders, or let's say the council here, invites the artists to talk. And instead of really bringing coaches or experts from outside, they bring the artists together to talk and resolve their problems. So what do the artists do? Artists get together with the same mindset, with the same predicament that they brought them into that situation. They sit together for 1, 2, 3, 4, even sometimes for 6, 7 hours. And they talk about their problems. And as I said, if I may say it into this podcast, they bitch about their problems. And so that at the end of that meeting, because they've complained and they moaned so much, they feel great because some ideas came up. So they leave that room feeling wonderful and warm and fuzzy inside. When they go outside there with the same mindset, they keep doing exactly the same things. So then suddenly they start feeling the cold of the real world coming up to them as a result of that mindset. So very quickly they run and they rush and they go back into another hot tub, i.e. another group meeting to talk exactly about the same problems. So the hot tub mentality is extremely unproductive in my point of view. It is great for artists to get together, don't take me wrong, but you need to really be thinking about mentors and people who understand about this. And the second point I wanted to make is very directly linked with this. When the penny dropped, when I had a really light bulb moment, and I write about it in my book, when I had set up a dance company for 6 dancers. I just finished Laban, Trinity Laban, and I was just really excited. I'd saved some money and I paid all the dancers. I paid the studio, I paid the theater, I paid the graphic designer, the lighting designer, everyone. We toured with our piece and so on. And then one day I was just feeling very, very nervous because a very fierce dance critic, I knew that she'd come to see our show. And so I just went and I picked the Stage magazine, which is a very famous magazine here for artists to find employment, talk about different issues in the performing arts. So I was just, my hands were shaking, just opened the magazine, and they were a double bill, myself and another company before. She'd absolutely hated the first piece. And then I thought, oh my goodness. And then I continued reading and she loved my piece. I started crying. And in fact, I was just crying from happiness, but also from sadness, because within 30 minutes, my landlord came in and he'd send me a few letters to evict me of my flat. Why? Because I'd paid everyone. I'd paid all, and I was in debt. I was in my credit card debt. So the landlord came in, and thank God I was lucky, because he just gave me a fantastic lesson. He said to me, whatever you've been doing, today is not an accident, he said to me. is not an accident, Tomorr. Today's episode has come as a result of you having thought and done things and having opinions a year early, 2 years, 3 years early, and thinking like that every day that brought you here. Now, I'm not going to ask you to leave the flat. Just stay in the flat for some time, whenever you'll find the money. But just want to ask you, as if I'm going to ask my son, if you continue to think and have the same mentality of moaning, oh, poor me, I've given everything, but I'm an artist, I need to struggle, and so on, what would you expect differently to happen in a year's time? And the penny dropped. So despite me having studied from the age of 3, all my life, acting, costumes, dressing, classical ballet, duet, everything, I realized I knew nothing about money. I knew nothing where the money came from. I knew nothing how to really promote myself. I knew nothing how many spectators did I need to wooze or attract in order for me to get that £30,000 salary. I didn't have a clue. And in a way, it was not my fault. In a way, is exactly what you said before. It comes as a result of a mindset which was set up centuries ago. And again, I write in my book, I think it's chapter 3, when I talk about history, we know Louis XIV was the guy who set up the proper corps de ballet because he was an amazing ballet dancer. And we are here in 17th century. That mindset is still here.
Right.
Why? Because the 21st century requires us to be entrepreneurial. All of us. I'm not saying to be a business person, but I'm saying to have the entrepreneurial mindset, to understand what the contract is, to understand that whomever is promoting you is investing a vast amount of time, money, expertise, contacts, knowledge, all of this, and that costs. But people don't realize that, especially dancers. They think that if I do 12 pirouettes, oh, why haven't I been discovered? That's the mindset. So millions of dancers go around the world with this sort of blocked mindset. I will be discovered. You know, and here again, I talk about the need of managers and producers. Of course, they're needed. So they absolutely deserve that 20% and 25% of whatever we earn. Yet, if we go with the mindset that we're going to be discovered, we will never be discovered. We need to really awaken and discover ourselves. How? We don't learn that at any ballet school. I bet you. And so this is my life mission, as I said, education. Every little boy and girl, when I started writing the book, Successful Artists Mean Business, my daughter was 12 years old. And I just said, I wish that when my daughter grows up and if she decides to be a performer, she doesn't need to really struggle and to go out there to say, well, this is how it is. Oh, come on, what do you expect? This is how it is. Are you a good dancer? Yeah, just expect to be discovered if you're lucky, or if you just do a few intrigues and you're at the right place, right time. No. I talk in the chapter 5 when I say you can make your market. You don't need to be thinking of the whole market. You can create your own market. I mean, coming to UK with no English, and I created my own market. And, you know, so that was the need for me when my landlord had that really serious and loving talk with me. Well, I just realized I was an ignorant on business. I was just like a Ferrari in ballet and in productions and so on. I knew everything inside out, but I knew nothing about business. So what did I have to do? I went to Greenwich University. I studied events management. And as you said, I never stopped learning. I even went to the Bay Area in America, and I studied the entrepreneurial, the E-Myth system with Michael Gerber, because that was the next step for me, the natural step to become a coach, to become a consultant. Then when I go now and I work with theaters and theater directors who have like a turnover, something like 15 million pounds a year, I know what I'm talking now. I know, because I've gone through that journey myself as a dancer, as a performer, all of the stages from very beginning, from even what I said to you in Spain, I had nothing, only $110 in my pocket, to really leading, working for One Dance UK, which is the umbrella of dance in the whole of UK for 64 million people. So then I've gone through these stages, and now this is what I pass on to the others, and I want other people to continue doing it.
Important. Wow, there's so much in there. So I love the story. And if you haven't read the book yet, I truly encourage you, go and get it, because it is worth more than, your return of investment is higher what you actually anticipate before you start reading it. The story of a mentor. We never know where that mentorship is actually coming from. If we're open to receiving it. And I find, just from what I've seen here in North America, also my own background, that mentorship was, for me, never applicable, because what we've grown up with was do as I tell you to do if you want to be fitting in this box and being on the stages. I remember I was asked to not date the man that I had chosen so I would get soloist roles as a 21-year-old, right? And I think we can do different, we can do better. This whole fear management that has been put into place is really truly not applicable anymore. But let's talk business. You said you work with companies that have large sums of budgets. And I mean, I have business background. I've worked in business. I had my own business. I led my business to 7 figures. I understand numbers. I understand business. What I don't understand is that performing arts organizations are still in the mindset that they cannot be a business. Meaning that here in the US and in Canada, they're raising 70% of their annual budgets. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of energy that goes into chasing money that you are not building wealth off, but you just really putting a Band-Aid over a bullet hole over and over and over again. And we'll just keep repeating it, because why? Help me understand. And maybe we can come up with a solution.
Yeah, I agree with it. It's a saying in the business world that if you want to set up a business, take care of your customers, because they build, they consolidate your future. So of course you need to spend money in marketing and just constantly having the stream of, what do you want to say?
I just want to, so for me, it's of your customers, because they're making you a business, and of the people that are in your company, like your product, right? Okay, please go on. I'm sorry, I do.
No, this is really important point, because this is really important point. I do write in my book about, because my book is set up in 2 different tiers. The first tier is called the STARS method. So that's the overall, imagine a cloud, that's the STARS method. And it is an acronym. So each letter represents a concept. And then the second tier, it's another acronym broken down in the word performing. So for artists, I've just really made the book. It took me some time to write the book, to make it digestible, and to really appeal to both levels, for beginners, although I work with people who have been in the performing arts for at least between 3 and 5 years. So my expertise is not only for students. I'm planning of writing a book about it, but it's not there. The way I think I can really have a big impact is by working with university lecturers, with studio owners, with dance teachers and performing arts teachers, because they are the people who are going to really empower the future generations. So when I talk in my book, I also talk about the customer's avatar. And when I talk about customer's avatar, I talk about a very important concept, which is the internal and the external customer. A lot of companies, 99% of companies, lose sight although they love their staff, they love the people in the company and in the group within where they are, but they spend all of their energy and time outwards. And they ignore and they forget that they got people inside the company. So I give some tips and so on. So this is one of the things that I talk in the book, but also in terms of cultural organizations, as you said, to be absolutely honest, we would need a long while to consolidate the concept of business within the arts. So therefore, we will have to continue, as I call it, this transition period. And it starts with a concept, the initial concept that I discussed about, the concept of value exchange. So the moment we see the value exchange that we give into society, then instead of thinking about greediness, we think about value exchange. And that comes from self-respect, from self-esteem, from things that I believe that are so valuable. However, that's a very delicate point. In one of my courses, I talk about hobby, passion versus profession. And so then a lot of us have got this muddled mindset. Some people, and I talk because there are 7 tiers in the performing arts. The top one, people who are the 2%ers in our industry, and they earn millions, they are the spotlight. So I say that success, it's subjective. You know, what means success to me doesn't have to mean the same to you. So somebody sees success as having the money, I don't. Somebody sees success as really being on television, I don't know, so who dance better or whatever, I don't, and so on. However, most of us think about the idea of being in the spotlight. So being in the spotlight, it means that you have better contracts, you have a little steadier life and so on. But I have noticed that there's something beyond being in the spotlight or at the spotlight. It's becoming the spotlight, becoming that person who really moves the projector, moves the ideas, and just drives all the energy in the industry. And that's the 2%er. So what I'm talking about, the different layers in our industry, a lot of people, of course, they will start it from the bottom layer. And again, the delicate moment is when a lot of people don't realize that, have they got a passion? They're following a passion. Is it a hobby or is it a profession? These 3 things are so muddled. And you talk to dancers and you just say, well, what do you do? I'm a dancer. And when you ask them how do they spend the whole week, they just do their class every morning and they just work behind the bar. So the reality is that, yes, they consider themselves, and again, I feel a dancer, I'm a dancer, but how do you make your living? Where do you spend your energy and your knowledge in order to really leave to work, or you're working to live? So that concept is very muddled for a lot of people. And there's a system that I talk in my book on how to get out of it, how to identify it. A lot of us will do, and even myself, because I love what I do, I mean, dancing and performing and putting productions on, I know that it comes so natural to us. But guys and girls, you need to be really careful, because you love it and you will do it for no money does not mean that we have to sell it for no money. Enough with that struggling artist. So therefore, we need to have these sort of conversations. I mean, I bet you today, you will find, literally go to Google and you will search dance courses, better pirouette courses, better jumping, pas de deux courses and everything else. There will be millions for ballet dancers. And then if you go and search Google now, this moment, business training for ballet dancers, you will find perhaps one, it will be mine, or you will find none. So this is, what do we expect? Like this guy told me when I was at that predicament. If you go with this mindset, what do you expect? That does not mean that I'm saying to you, because a lot of people might be saying, oh, Tomorr, but are you saying to me that I need to really start doing business and ignoring dance? No, I'm just saying that every little boy and girl, every one of us, number one, need to have this in mind. Number two, whilst we do our ballet, we need to know the purpose of it. We need to know where does it fit in the society. And number three, it's our duty to really change our mindset, to move to the 21st century, to realize that we are stuck in the 16th century when, you know, the supply and demand, something again in our dance world, people would just feel, what does it talk about? Supply and demand, what is that? Supply and demand is very simple. In the UK alone, every year there are over 30,000 professional dancers ready to work. So that's the supply in the market. And you know how many of them make minimum wage through dancing? Only 4,000.
Oh, and
So the disparity.
Make money at all?
That's it. The rest, exactly. The rest, they think they're working. They are dancers, professional dancers. They do some work. They're freelancers. They work ad hoc. But so can you see the supply and demand? Supply is so big and demand is so low. That's what the market can keep. So therefore, the need for us is to learn where we can leverage our service, the render society. So then it comes to play our creativity in the business world. But quite often I have some of my clients will come to me and they will say, oh, Tomorr, I'm fantastic. And I know they're great. So the first thing I just say to them, do you know how to pitch your idea? Oh, yes. And they start talking. The juxtaposition of the positioning of my colorful choreography in terms of the very psychedelic concept. And I just like, I'm sorry, I had £10,000 to invest on you. Do you think you're going to convince me to risk my £10,000 of you talking about this rubbish? Of you talking
business?
Exactly. You're not talking business language. You're not really pitching. And, you know, even the word sales, I've got another course that I deliver. It's called How to Sell Without Selling Out or Cringing. So a lot of people cringe about selling, and a lot of people think that, oh, the word sales, first of all, the word sales is seen like a taboo. And then people don't understand, but we haven't got any other society. You and I came to the communist society. We realized that, you know, it doesn't work like that. So this is what we got. We really need to adapt to it. Otherwise, this big wave is going to chuck us out. And that's why a lot of people get out.
So I'm going to rename this podcast to your podcast because you have so much to say. I really, truly appreciate it and love it. And every time you start a thought or a sentence, there is so much that I agree with and completely, fully align with. We don't market in the arts because we expect still from the 16th century that people will come because we're putting it on, because we are the ballet company, we're the Met, we're the New York City Ballet. People come and see us. A very clear study has shown after the pandemic that customer behavior has changed 1000%. They no longer buy the best for the cheapest, but they have more questions. They want to be aligned with what you're standing for, what your mission is, what you're talking about, how you're treating the environment, how you're thinking about, I don't know, the current war that is going on, how are you treating your employees, how are you making sure that everybody is safe, what are their wages? And we don't have that transparency in arts organizations at all. Even though non-for-profits have to lay out their tax returns online, they're 2 years behind, first of all, when I did my research. And I'm going off on a tangent, but what I found was that the artistic staff, including marketing department and make at least 3 to 5 times as much as the actual dancers or musicians or actors actually make. So for me, as It doesn't make sense. Like, why are we investing so little into the product and so much in people that are not up to speed where leadership, marketing, selling, business is at? I don't understand that. Every company now can go and invest a little bit into PR, because we're people, we in the world, we're still are. It's like, oh, they've been in Forbes, cool, maybe I'll go check them out. Going where their audiences is where we're at in 2022, not waiting for them to attend. That's not going to work anymore. Another point that I wanted to make is I did some research in the beginning of the pandemic, just seeing which companies in North America actually had ever run Facebook ads, meaning put themselves out there to promote, themselves.
Yeah.
And out of every ballet company here in North America, two have ever run an ad like 10 years ago. And then you look into the entrepreneurs, the ones that really don't need to run any ads anymore because they're known. They had like 5 that were active, and I'm not kidding, at least 500 previous, if not more. Now we right, like, it's this expectation that people just gonna come and, I'm just gonna go, and they have to give us money, and because we're here, because we're important. And this thinking is not only agent, it is fear-based and arrogant. And the belief that, oh, well, this has to change in order for me to do my job. No, it's the other way around. You develop, you evolve, you participate, and that's how we're going to change the system.
So you're not going to be discovered if you don't do it
Oh,
yourself.
you need to discover yourself first. You make your own spotlight.
Exactly. Grab the spotlight and become that spotlight. So what you mentioned about the major dance companies, the New York City Ballet and so on. In fact, I've got a tool. There's a tool that, is a free tool that I use it for people to map themselves out. And I will go very quickly through to help people understand what I mean and why this book is very simple to answer the questions that you gave. So the method is called the becoming the spotlight but stars method. And the letter S stands for strategize. If we don't strategize, if we don't know where we're going, then anywhere will be fine. But don't expect to really fulfill your dreams if you don't have a strategy. And this starts with your mindset initially. And I talk about the 4 different levels of consciousness. And the first level of consciousness, what you were talking, it's being a victim. They would find me, they don't give it to me, they don't pay me enough, they haven't done it, to me. That's the victim. So that's what I talk about, and I describe it a little bit differently through a story. The second level of consciousness it's called something of the doer. So we know, and I write in my book, talk about my mother. My mother was the typical doer. With 6 children, she would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and work all the day and do. She was exhausted every day. And she found it very difficult to really engage others. Quite often we see, especially studio owners, small choreographer, small dance company, directors and so on, really running around trying to be this big hero to solve the problem for everybody. Now, it's a little bit better than being a victim, because at least you have done something, so you've taken control of your life, but you end up burning out. And then we know what happens when you suffer burnout, depression, breakdown, other people suffer and so on. So very soon you will find yourself back into the square one, which is the victim. Next step is, as I call it, through me, is the integrator, is somebody who is the company leader who delegates, doesn't really take the whole burden of their endeavor on their shoulders, but they pass it on. And then they go in harmony, as we do all the dancing in harmony. We know, especially we dancers understand this, that if you really find the energy with the other person, if you really either consciously or subconsciously notice their moves, you perform beautifully. That's what happens in life. So you become the person who goes around. And this is where I ask people to go, at least to aim for this. And the next top level is the seamless. Somebody who doesn't care about being offended, who just doesn't see the world as with scarcity, doesn't see that, oh, this is like too little, I'm going to keep my ideas to me because other people are going to steal it from me. People who don't care about it because they want to spread their knowledge and empower everybody. Now, these 4 different layers, as I call them, 4 aspects of me, because I go through these 4 aspects on a daily basis. So I'm not saying that you need to really fix them and you fix it once and you're done. But what I'm saying is just please raise awareness. So, and this is part of the stage 1, which is strategize. The next step in strategize, it's when you analyze your market. A lot of people don't even know where they're going to play the game. So they just say, and the typical example was me. When I was in Spain, I lived in a small city in South Spain, and they saw that Nureyev had landed in their city. They didn't know that, I was not that amazing ballet dancer. So I had to go on weekends. I had to take this bus from Murcia to Madrid, which is about 7 hours on a coach. And so I used to go almost every 2 weekends to do auditions in Madrid. And then I didn't realize what I was doing. I was wasting my time. I was annoying myself and I was annoying other people as well. Why? Because there was this magazine. At that time, we didn't have internet. So then I would see audition, I would go for audition. And they needed salsa dancers, they needed hip hop dancers, they needed ballet dancers, they needed for television, they needed for film, they needed actors and so on. So I was doing everything and I ended up being burned out. What was it missing there? It was my inability to build a map of where I wanted to go, laser focused into that area I wanted to go, and only go there. But these are not things that we learn at school, do we? We learn more pirouettes, we learn more graceful movements, but we don't learn about this. So in my book, I talk about how to talk about the 3 major elements, which is opportunity, so ROI, so resources, opportunity, and influence. And I talk about influence. Influence is about pitching. It's about expressing yourself. It's about really think about why. Why do I do this? Why do I exist? Why my performance or my abilities, my talents are better than the others? And then once you know and you build up and you get better into pitching, because pitching never ends, you need to really improve it, then you inevitably, you will attract more opportunities. And what do opportunities mean? It means that you go into networking. And I talk a little bit about networking as well, how much I used to dread it. And I give there a very simple technique about, so you need to read the book to realize it. So that's what it is. You build your opportunities. And then after that, you come to resources. Now, can you see the mistake here? A lot of organizations, the first and last thing they think resources, money, 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 money. They don't realize that they need to start with themselves. They need to start with the pitch, with a mindset, with understanding about the 4 aspects of me. And then to really influence others by finding opportunities, and then resources are there. I mean, I'll give you an example. In 2019, the Great Britain, I mean, in terms of technology and creative industries, Great Britain is avant-garde, is really moving on very fast across the globe. Generated 111 billion pounds, which is something $160 billion. Okay, is a lot of money for creative industries.
Yeah.
The whole of the other 26 countries in Europe generated 148 million euros, which is something like 112 billion pounds. So if you compare money per money, one small country like UK generated almost the same amount of money as the whole of the other 26 countries. Why am I saying this? Because there is money. We need to get rid of this. Again, I'm repeating it, the struggling artist. There is money, but they are not good ideas. They are not good pitch presenters. They are not good business organizers. You have great artists, great performers, but you don't have that. Now, on my strategy, this is part of transforming. So what I talk about, I talk about people transforming themselves, transforming their endeavor, and starting to build their enterprise. The next step is acting. A lot of artists, including me, when I was at that time, I told you the story. What did I do? I ignored the first two steps. I didn't strategize. I didn't realize how many spectators I needed. I didn't do my due diligence and planning on fundraising, finding board of trustees and all what I needed to do. I didn't really think that I needed a manager and I needed people to do about accounting and so on. What did I do? I just had this fantastic dancer choreographer friend. We got together, her and I just got into a studio. We started acting. A lot of us do that. Instead of really doing the first two stages, we jump on acting. And that, of course, it didn't go well. And then the next step is refining. Once you act and you build your endeavor, you start refining it. What does it mean? It means that if it worked and what worked, you really enhance it. What didn't work, you find out through data. You gather data. You gather all of these questionnaires, all of the information. But can you see, to talk like this, when I was studying to the teachers, they didn't have a clue. They would fall asleep. So then once you refine it, the last step is S, scale up. Scaling up through education and through those two elements, as I said, one through external customers and the other one through internal customers. And scaling up for me, it's through education, through labs, creating small labs. They are not risky, but in that way you build up. For example, our family, as a family, we have an academy, a music academy. We have roughly about 800 students that we train every week. So what we've done throughout all of these years, now we've got some amazing teenagers. And today it happens as I was in the office, and one of these girls just said, oh, by the way, such and such mothers, the mothers of two little girls, two 4-year-old girls, had approached this 17-year-old girl and said, hey, you know what? My daughters are finding it very challenging to practice piano. If I pay you £10 an hour, would you come in and do just piano practice with them? So what we've been doing throughout all of these years with this girl, that she's been for 6 years with us, we've been nurturing her, nurturing the new generation, looking after them, looking after all of the aspects that they need to be looked after, from the knowledge about generating contacts, taking them into networking events, not keeping them just behind the stage and just say, oh, just act pretty, and then just go back into champagne. Just the artistic director goes for champagne, big parties and so on. Finding who are the leaders. I mean, to be absolutely fair, for example, we have Tomorr here, who leads, actually she's coming to America because she's got a new contract, I think for San Francisco Ballet. But so she's a visionary, in my point of view, and she really looks after the new talent. So she has created quite a lot of platforms from women in the dance world, because to be absolutely honest, the dance world, over 80% of the dance world is dominated by female, and yet women go up to middle management level. Most of the dance companies are still led by these male choreographers. I'm male myself. I'm not going to, put down my kind. However, don't forget that I've got a daughter, as well as I need to be open-minded to realize that this is disparity. It can't go any further. So therefore, it's very simple. When I talk in the chapter 9 about nurturing, that's what I'm talking about. You've got the people inside the company, organization, nurture them, nurture the few leaders, find programs of mentoring, the leadership. So then these leaders I've got 12 people that I mentor, 12 young, fantastic, passionate people who are just doing fantastically well. Some of them are, all of them are at different levels. So we need to do more of this. And I'm afraid this is a worldwide issue. It's not just USA or UK. I find this in Eastern Europe. I mean, I go to Italy. I'm going to Italy to talk about my book next month as well. And it's the same problem. We are a little bit lucky in the UK because we've got Arts Council funding. So Arts Council, gives out billions to the arts. But even with Arts Council's help, we still find out that half of that money is already committed, because there are organizations such as Royal Opera House, English National Opera, Romberg Company, and so on. They have got NPO status, which is a status that the government gives them something. Yet, I think for these big organizations, the government, especially with the help of Arts Council, have been planting for years now. It has been for about 15 years now, when they changed the concept of giving you a grant, and they just say, this is an investment on you, which means that the artist who receives funding should not see it as some money taken and so I can create work. No, within their plan, within their business plan, so they need to present a business plan. They need to also see how they're going to be self-sustained after. So this is the conversation that we need to all have. Don't know if it makes sense. I went around of it just to give you.
Yeah, no, this is perfect. When we're talking, we're at time. You all just grab another cup of coffee. We'll just go just a wee bit longer. One, I think the core mindset shift that we can make today is that let's look at our money mindset, like everybody that's working in the arts. How do we feel about money? Are we feeling worthy of it? Are we feeling actually deserving it? The core problem of arts organizations, the expectation that the money is given to them and then they're gonna spend it on, overhead costs and just running the season versus building something. You run your current business and you also run your future business. That's where strategy comes in. Like, how are we building that? Who is actually responsible for laying in these plans? Are we promoting dancers that have been great on stage? And I'm not diminishing that. And I understand the thought processes there. However, it is not business smart to just put somebody that was great on stage and assuming that they're a great leader. Like we're starting at zero. You're becoming somebody else. And some leaders just don't have that knowledge. They just are not, they also don't get the time to step into that. They're not getting the time or taking the time, I should say, to learn about leadership and, just, I'm getting the money and I'm going to spend it. Let's recreate budgets. Let's recreate responsibility. Let's attach, how you can spend the grants that you're receiving. Let's be financially open and honest on how we are creating money actually. Every other business out there, and I'll just finish this thought and then I'll let you go at it, has learned that even Facebook, Meta, even Google, they all have multiple streams of income. They all have created, yes, they started with one product, with their core product, but they always had another stream of income. Netflix, only 2 streams of income, but they have reoccurring revenue. So why is that not something that we're doing at the arts? Are we considering donations as a stream of income? Because it's not a stream that we're creating. It's a stream that we're chasing. It's not reliable. It's not something that we are, how can I say this nicely, that we are in charge of. We're always just at the mercy of somebody else's decision. We don't get to decide. And when I say we, it's the industry, it's the companies, it's the leaders. And we're not putting ourselves into the right people or circle of people, because we're talking to people because we want the money and not talking to the people because we're really interested in them and making them our community and investing back into them. Okay, rant over. State all yours.
I agree. I agree. It's look, there are so many issues. There are so many different things. For example, you started talking about leadership. You started talking, and you mentioned about a dancer being a great dancer on stage, but then later on, because they get on with a choreographer, and then just are nominated to lead the company. And in fact, in business, there is a saying about this, and they say, if you want to lose your best salesperson, make them manager of other salespeople.
Yes. Oh, yes. Can you
So,
repeat this, please? Can you just for the ones in the back that didn't get the message?
if you want to lose your best salesperson, make them manager of other salespeople. So the meaning on this is that if somebody is fantastic at sales, i.e. fantastic being on stage, does not necessarily mean that their talent is to lead other people. And this is the misconception. And it happens as I said, it happens in business, it happens in performing arts. You know, if somebody is very famous, they just make them a choreographer, and then just they cock up with their company because they're just, you know, single-minded. And I do have actually a friend of mine who was nominated the main artistic director of a dance company. And then within a year, he resigned. He just realized he was desperate. He was just miserable. It was not his life. So therefore, that's why I mentioned before, there's a need there to nurture. And it needs to be embedded in the philosophy of every company, every organization. It should be part of the business plan, nurturing the young generation, nurturing the people inside the company, identifying, having tools to identify the talent, the leadership talent, and really giving them what they need. I'm not saying here to put the wrong place, the wrong person at the right job or the right person at the wrong job, because you're doing a disfavor to everybody. So you've got to be thinking about that. Okay, so leading a company, leading an organization, leading yourself, it takes work. So it's self-observation first. But what I wanted to say is, again, you spoke about why are we relying in one stream of income? Why are we relying in a couple of things and just forever churning that wheel to get it? And in my book, I talk about the ecology of products. So there are 4 stages of the product ecology. So the first stage is completely free. And I explain why there should be all of these stages. It's all to do with the way our brain is built. It's all to do with biology. We can't help it. We have evolved, people who are religious or people who are not religious, it doesn't matter. We all have these 3 layers of our brain, which is called the amygdala, like the reptilian, and we got the mammal brain, and then we have the human brain. And if you think the amygdala stays at the bottom, it's sort of imagine that reptile, that crocodile there, doesn't get any logic or whatever, just reacts. And then we have the monkey who thinks that they think something, but the only thing can do is just make noise. And the job of the monkey is to be loved, liked, and protected by the whole of community, and to be warm and cozy. So therefore, when our brain is hijacked by these 2 ancient parts of it, our human brain doesn't have a chance. You know, it's literally, because there's been research there, starved of oxygen. When you're under attack, and I talk about it in my book, how I was influenced by this. When you feel, because sometimes you're not even under attack, for whatever reason you feel under attack, you can't take decisions. So why am I telling you this? Is because also the products that we need to exchange and to maintain our future are based, and they serve different parts of the brain. So that free product, it's something as you and I are doing now, a free podcast. And because no matter how much I can shout in this home, my neighbor is going to say, Tomorr is having a party at his home at best, and he's just really being frustrated at worst. Okay, and nobody else is going to hear it. So therefore, I need to find a way and a method for my ideas, my opinions, my services to go out there in the world. Hence this podcast. So we need to be thinking on that. And the second one is called Product for Prospects. And we all know it. We go to Starbucks and they just say to you, do you want to go to Starbucks? Actually, Starbucks does it for completely for free. But even when you do go into Starbucks on Wi-Fi, they don't have a blank page. They keep bombarding that monkey and that reptilian with the Starbucks logo. So in a way, Starbucks, and this is really important, guys, every time we enter in a relationship contact with a brand, yet again, a very alien language for dancers, brand.
Oh yeah, well, what?
Exactly. So when you enter a relationship with a brand, they deliberately spend a lot of money just to put their colors, their shapes out there. So what is their aim? To, figuratively speaking, to occupy a very small part of our consciousness. So whenever I see that lady there with the green and so on, I know it's Starbucks. And dollar, the green dollar is the king of the king. The moment you show it to people, can you see how we are influenced day in, day out? And that's where the free products, the products for prospects, when people ask you for a very small fee, $5, $10, or they ask for you for your email. And so they see that you're somebody who landed into their doorstep, and they say, well, this person might be a future prospect. And the next step is when you have a conversation with that person as a result of them giving you the email or whatever details, and then you present to them your core offering. Your core offering, it's a completely different ballgame. That's where your core service is. I.e., if you're a dancer, you prepared all yourself and you know that you are very good at a specific thing and you keep replicating it. And the next one is called the next logical step. And the other point I wanted to make is that you spoke about the continuity. And I speak in my book about assets. What are assets? How do we keep and sustain ourselves? Because with one job, I mean, I just, my heart breaks when I see people who just say, I'm an actress. And so what else do you do? Nothing. And then I tell them my story. I tell my life story. I say, you know, how am I otherwise known? I'm otherwise known as the English National Opera artist who went to train the Scotland Yard officers. And people are like, what? What is it? Did you teach them dance? That's the first reaction. And I say, no, I didn't. Well, what did you do with them? Did you become a spy? Oh yeah, I became 007. No. So what did I do? I did not see myself as so many dancers see themselves. I'm classically trained, and so that's what I will do. I saw myself as a performer. I saw myself with this wealth of knowledge, which is called transferable skills. Transferable skills are ours. That's why we're special. That's why out of this journey, we've been talking here for over an hour and 10 minutes. That's the core of our offering to the society. Not everyone in this society can do what you do or what I do. That's my gem. So what did I do? I was comfortable being on stage. I had an accent and I used it to my benefit, because I will go to meeting and they'll say, oh gosh, another foreigner here is coming to tell us how to do things. Come on. And they would just give me the benefit of the doubt. And I'll get that £25,000 I needed. I get that production for 12,000 people at Wembley Arena that I needed. I get that £100,000 daily budget because I just went there and I thought, I'm comfortable in expressing my thought. I have worked all my life strategizing. I can really help young people. I've worked with young people. How can I actually transfer those skills so that more people will benefit in the business term? So therefore, I started making money. I was working for English National Opera. I was earning something like, at that time, £286 a week. £286 a week. And you know how much I was earning to do half a day training the top police officers of Scotland Yard, 500 for half a day. So I got together. So I talk in my book about partnerships. I spoke how I found a psychologist and a social worker and how I brought my talent skills from theatre. And I didn't have to do much. I did what we do every day. How did I build my dance companies? I just got the dancers, I auditioned. You do, you don't, you do, you don't, until I found the group. And then there's another process. You filter them. You try to find them individually. You build the relationship. You find where their energy is until they believe in you, until they trust in you. That's what I did on my trainings. I did all of the theatre workshop movements to loosen them out, to do the icebreaker. In the business world, it's called the icebreaker, you know? And then we delved into the concept. How do you talk about psychology and how you work with different groups and how do criminals operate in this area? What is there? So I didn't have to talk in that sense. I brought a psychologist in, and that's called partnership. We overthink all of this stuff. It is all the talent that we have been nurturing all of our life. I hope this helps for all of your listeners to realize that we've got a gem, we got a treasure of talents, and we need to use that for an exchange of benefits to the society.
And I think all of it starts with actually feeling worthy of and being aware of where the stories are and how far they've gotten us so far, and like really looking at the break that we received as a gift in some way, because it was necessary in a way or another, that when COVID hit, you know, everybody was just faced with them. Like, who are we? Like, we had no way on doing our daily distractions anymore. So I could talk to you for the next 10 hours and we would still not be even scratching the surface of what's there actually. I want to ask you one last question that I ask all of my guests. With what you know today, and let's assume your 16-year-old self would actually listen to you and sit down, what would you tell him?
I will tell him or her, myself,
Yourself, yeah.
exactly what my mentor told me when I was 20, because that's what saved my life. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. It was -6 degrees centigrades. I was outside. I hadn't slept every night for 4 months because I was a soldier at the National Service. I was dressed as a police officer. I picked up the phone and I saw on the 3rd floor at his apartment light was on. I picked up the phone and started crying and screaming. You ruined my life, all of your elite. I shouldn't be here. I'm a ballet dancer. Why should I be a soldier? And so on. And you know what he said to me, which has really led me from that time, and it really saved my life. He said to me, listen, Tomorr. He was gay, but during communist times, he would go 7 years into prison. He would be imprisoned. In Albania, he would be in prison for at least 7 years, okay? So, and he said to me, listen, and he was the leader, the main choreographer of the Albanian National Ballet. I mean, he managed the whole company. And he said to me, you know who I am and what I am. Listen, my son, if I made it, if I've been able to navigate and to realize and to succeed to what I wanted, imagine what is in front of you. You got a whole world, a whole life to enjoy. And I will give you 3 tips to go away. Number 1, you need to really, for the time being, it doesn't matter, to really know what you want. Just research what you want, whatever you want. No good, no bad, just find it, he said. Number 2, make a detailed plan. I mean, when I say detailed, even with colors and shapes and dates and smells and everything. And number 3, do never, ever go to bed every single night without having made a step, one little step towards fulfilling that goal. That's it, he said to me. That's it. And you know what happened? To finish the whole story, and this is a true story, it's not a joke. Within 3 months, I found a way how to train, because when you're a ballet dancer, if you stop for a year and a bit, you can't really do anything. So within 3 months, I started training. I got a place into an amateur dance company. I applied to go to university. I was accepted to the competition, the audition for the university. I passed the audition with 10 star, as we had at that time, 100 points, became the best in it. They gave me a place at the university. So all of this within 3 months. On the 1st of September, 1984, I found myself in the university desks studying what I wanted to be, a choreographer and a producer and a theater director. But you know what happened? In the morning, I was dressed as a civilian with my books and so on, went to university to study all of the things, the beautiful things in the arts. In the evening, I will go home. I will just have a dinner, change into police officer's clothing, and do my evening, my night shift for 8 hours with a Kalashnikov in my arms, into serving into the buildings there for another 2 months, until there was no choice but just to release me from the army. Okay, so 3 things. Really identify what you really want to do. 2, make a very detailed plan. And 3, do never go to bed if you have never taken a step towards fulfilling that plan. By the way, when we make a plan, it doesn't mean that the plan has to really be like set in stone. The plan is yours. You can change it, you can adapt it, but this is it. I hope it helps.
Thank you. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. I think there's a part 2 due to this because we have not solved the problems yet. Thank you so much for being here. I've fairly enjoyed our conversation. I'm so grateful for your knowledge and your insight and for the value that you have provided to this audience that is listening to. So guys, you know the drill, share, 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 because that is how this message is going out. And we are sending you so much love. Till next time.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.